good jobs. They went to college, they went to school, and they graduated, and they were moving on with their lives and had their own places. I was still living at home with my mother. And my situation and my circumstance dictated how I valued my life. And I met this guy. He kind of swept me off my feet. He was a total package. Like, he had checked off all the marks that I would want in a guy. He had a really well-paying job. He had property that he owned. He had goals. He had ambition. And it did not hurt that he looked like my favorite rapper at the time. This guy came and he swept me off my feet. And I was in over my head before the relationship began. And even from the very beginning of this relationship, I realized that Mr. was a little bit deceitful. And Mr. was also a little bit manipulative. And he was a little bit controlling. But he always had a good reason, so I thought, of why he was this way. I think a lot of us know Mr. He had a good reason, and I was naive. So I believed it when he told me things that put me down. He had a reason why he told me, like, negative things about myself. He had a reason why when we were together there was a no cell phone policy.
What?
I'll call it what it is. I was not naive, I was dumb. I was in this relationship and I believed everything he said. And because I became consumed with his life and who he was, and I identified. Now think about what your identity is. A simple definition of identity is the condition of being yourself, not another. And I identified as this person's girlfriend. That was my life. If he would have told me to jump, I would have said how high. As a matter of fact, I've done it many times. Long story short, because like you, we could be here for hours talking about all the negative things in this relationship, but after a few years, God started to do some things in my life. I began to come to my senses a little bit, and a lot of things started happening in my life that were like out of my control. Like my friendships were dropping left and right. I had no more friends. My mother was battling in her final stages of breast cancer. God was working something on the inside, and I had this tug of war going on in my life because I wanted to stay with Mr., but I also wanted to serve God. Because Mr. was the only thing I had left. My mom ended up passing on. I had no friends. And I was, in close relationships with my friends, and they died off. So I told God, I'll serve you. I will live for you. But don't take him away from me. I need to hold on to him because he was all I had left. And I told you earlier that Mr. was a tad bit deceitful. And Mr. was a tad bit controlling. And Mr. was a tad bit manipulative. One night, Mr. became a tad bit abusive. And all the warning signs that should have told me in the beginning and throughout my relationship that he's not the one for you. God told me multiple times he is not the one for you, and I wanted to prove God wrong. I thought that if I worked on my Christian walk enough, he would change his behavior. I didn't see what God saw in him. I mean, in the very beginning, God said, leave that guy alone. And I tried. And I went back and forth with this guy. But he had all these warning signs, all these, basically my decisions were made because I based my decisions off of him and how he would feel about it, not based off what I feel, what my concerns were. And it became so serious that I valued my relationship with him and his life more than I valued my mother when she was sick and she needed someone. And I was not there. Thankfully, I have a great family and great support system that was there for my mom, but I wasn't. I was too busy being concerned about who he was and what he did. And the thing is, when you don't value yourself and you don't value your life, you end up in situations which you're pinned up against the wall by your neck and repeatedly punched in your face like you're a grown man.
Oh my God.
This is situations that can happen when you have no value over your life. They can become abusive, and if they start off toxic, they may not become physically abusive, but it's still an unhealthy relationship. This relationship just happened to become physically abusive, and I was in a fight like I was a grown man, and I'm 5'2". Back then, I weighed about 110 pounds. I gained some weight. Don't judge me.
You are beautiful.
Thank you. But the thing about it is, God was trying to show me about value years before I met Mr. He was trying to show me this way back when I worked at Walmart. I worked at Walmart in the jewelry department, and I'm sure almost everyone here has been to Walmart. You go past the jewelry department, you see that all their costume jewelry is just out on shelves. Anybody can touch it, anyone can pick it up. If they like it, they can go pay for it or go walk right out of the store with it, depending on the type of person they are. But the jewelry that Walmart deemed valuable is locked up in a case. And I worked in that department. I was a key holder. So when a customer came up and they wanted to look at something behind that case, now this is not Rolex, this is Timex. It's not Tiffany & Co., it's Walmart. But if they wanted to see this, I had to unlock the case, pull the piece of jewelry out, lay it down on a mat, and stand there while they looked at this piece of jewelry to decide whether or not they wanted to buy it or if they were window shopping. And when they were finished with it, I had to lock it up back in this case and make sure that it was safe. Now think about this. If Walmart has enough sense to place that much value on their merchandise, Walmart's merchandise, so that someone is not able to just come up and walk right out of the store with it, how much more should we value our own lives? What type of protection are we putting around our lives so someone doesn't come by and steal your life away? I'm here to tell you that I went through that relationship and I came out a better person, even though I was disobedient to God. And coming out of that relationship and developing my relationship with God, I went through this time period of me not feeling worthy of anything better because of some of the stuff I did in that relationship that was uncharacteristic of myself, and just the way, the guilt that I felt about, the way I treated my mom towards her at the end of her last days, and just some of the stuff. I just felt like I don't deserve anyone good enough or better than that. So I'll be single and I'll work on my relationship with God. But I need you to understand, and I learned this coming out of this relationship, that in order for me to come to the realization that I deserve better, I deserve God's blessing, I deserve God's love, is to actually receive God's love. And as women, it's hard for us to receive. We give. Until we have no more to give, and if we're not receiving, we're not replenishing ourselves. And I want to talk about the scripture, 1 John 4:10. Herein is love, not that we love God, but that He loved us and sent His Son to be the propitiation for our sins. God deemed you valuable for something greater. It's not me. It's not the woman here on this planet. It's God. God said, you deserve greatness because I sent my son for you. Do you understand? I'm a mother now. I understand what that is like, to send your son for him to sacrifice his life for people to maybe turn their backs on him. But he believed that you were more valuable. You are valuable to live life everlasting and free from the bondage of stuff that you've been through. See, the stuff that we go through doesn't dictate who we are. We are children of God. That's first. That's where our lives begin and end, with being a child of God. You are not what you've been through. You are the apple of God's eye. And you are a rose. And just to get an idea of what that looks like in my life, now everyone's life is different. When I met my husband, I didn't think that I deserved a great God, awesome God-fearing God. And I was still stuck in the excuses. Mr. was the last person that met my mom. So, because of that, it was difficult for me to move on from that relationship. That was one of the things that held me bondage in that relationship. And I had to realize that I deserve better. My husband is better. He's greater. We did all the window shopping. He couldn't come and just steal my life away. We got to know each other first. I knew he was a God-fearing man before I married him. I did a lot of stuff wrong. And I'm not saying we were perfect when we dated, but we did a lot of stuff right. We did a lot of stuff based on biblical principles. And God blessed me with that, with him. And I am able to receive the blessing of him. And we have a 3-year-old son who I love, and he's the light of our world. And I wasn't sure I wanted kids because, again, my mom would never meet him. I didn't think that was fair. I have 6 other siblings. My sister's in the back, one of my sisters in the back here. They all of their children met my mom. And I wasn't sure I wanted to bring someone in the world that did not have the opportunity to meet my mother because she was a great person. And I got over that because, you know, God had other plans and I got pregnant. And I enjoy his life. He's a light of our lives. When I say that he teaches me things